share something with you? Everything that you hear on Ask a Priest Live and on the Station of the Cross is only possible because of your support. We've just launched our 2026 Spring Appeal, and this year's theme is Lord, Save My Loved Ones. When you give, you're helping us reach souls who have drifted from the faith. You are making it possible for our programming on Ask a Priest Live to give direct access to faithful Catholic priests and clear answers to your most pressing questions on the faith, the sacraments, and many more. So please consider making a pledge today. Call 1-877-711-8500. Visit thestationofthecross.com. You can also donate on the iCatholic radio app or return your Spring Appeal envelope. You can also give during our on-air appeal taking place on April 27th through May 1st from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern. Thank you for your support. May God reward you, and may He bring our loved ones home.
Discover the timeless beauty of our Catholic faith with David Fielding's Our Faith and Light of the World series. These beautifully illustrated books bring the life of Christ and the teachings of the Church to life for children and families alike. Reverent artwork, engaging stories, and thoughtful activities inspire young hearts to understand the faith and grow in love for it. Find these and more at castleofgrace.com, where faith and family meet in every page. That's castleofgrace.com.
The Catholic Current, bringing Christ to the world and the world to Christ.
You are worth my time. You're worth my undivided attention. God is blessing us by putting us together.
It's funny because people talk about quality time, and honestly, I think it's more about quantity time. But if you're actually engaged with them, whatever it is you're doing, you're spending quality and quantity time with them.
The Catholic Current, 5 p.m. Eastern, from the Station of the Cross and on the iCatholic Radio mobile app.
The Church has always taught that every soul receives all the graces they need for salvation. Every soul. Every soul. And so what is mercy? Mercy, Jesus Christ, number one, is mercy incarnate. He is mercy himself. Mercy is to forgive those who don't deserve to be forgiven. Mercy is to forgive those who deserve to be condemned by their sins. Mercy is to forgive those who crucify you, who spit on you, mock you, crown you with thorns. When the human race reached the lowest point ever, when our Lord was betrayed for 30 pieces of silver, how did he respond? With mercy.
That's Sermons for Everyday Living, weekdays from 6 to 7 a.m. Eastern on the Station of the Cross.
Catholic radio has just been a lifesaver for me. I still listen to it every day. I start my day with it. I listen to it all day long as much as I can. I am very grateful for it.
It's just an amazing thing to have, as I am new to Catholicism. Obviously, it's not only helping me, but it's helping so many other people on their walk.
Thank you. God bless you for iCatholic Radio. It has changed my life.
Donate today at thestationofthecross.com.
At the Station of the Cross, we understand that life circumstances can affect your giving options, whether by moving or by switching banks and credit card numbers. Please let us know if recent changes have been made to your payment information so that we can better serve you as you continue to bless us with your financial support. Update your information today at thestationofthecross.com or by calling 1-877-888-6279, extension 104.
Hi, Joe McClane here, host of A Catholic Take, heard on the Station of the Cross each weekday at 4 p.m. Eastern. It's a bold synthesis of information and inspiration, keeping you up to date on the news and issues that you might have missed from a courageous Catholic perspective. That's A Catholic Take, weekdays at 4 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Station of the Cross Catholic Media Network and the iCatholic Radio mobile app. Download it today and share it with a friend. God love you.
This is Joe McClane, and you're listening to the Station of the Cross, proclaiming the fullness of the truth with clarity and charity.
Heard around the world on your Android and Apple mobile devices.
Go into the world and tell every man that you meet, there is a man on the cross.
A Catholic Take. What you need to know right now. A bold synthesis of inspiration and information. Keeping you up to date on the news and issues from a courageous Catholic perspective.
A Catholic Take with Joe McClane starts now.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McClane. Praise be to God. It is good to be on with you this afternoon. Let's take a trip down memory lane. A year ago, His Holiness Pope Francis passed away, was laid to rest. I had the opportunity, along with Bishop Strickland and some amazing pilgrims that were on the ride with us, to go to the tomb of Pope Francis and to pray for his repose. And I would encourage everybody to take a moment today and to pray for the repose of Pope Francis. But as I go down memory lane, I'm thinking about that time when he brought the disgraced McCarrick out from his banishment under Benedict XVI and put him back into service for the church. Remember that? The good times? Yeah, what did he do? He sent him to China to forge a secret Vatican agreement. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Now, Communist China can tell you who's going to be a bishop and who isn't. But it's way worse than that, actually. A new report out by Human Rights Watch, published just this past week, says China pressure on Catholics escalates. Vatican agreement with Beijing on bishops facilitates the crackdown. The very deal that he sent McCarrick to negotiate is leading to torture, arrest, prison, and disappearance of many Catholics in Communist China. We're going to talk about that at 30 past the hour. A wee bit of a trip down memory lane in the disastrous pontificate. By the way, I did release the conversation with Dr. Peter Kwasniewski from yesterday as a standalone on the YouTube channel, but check out the podcast as well. You can find that at thestationofthecross.com/ACT. Are you subscribed to our audio podcast of A Catholic Take? We would love to have you on the team. Leave us a review as well. Also on the team is Edward Clancy at 14 past the hour. We're going to get caught up on the persecution of Christians in Lebanon, southern Lebanon, at the hands of the Israeli Defense Force. He's going to be here to tell us the latest and maybe even cover a bit of Pope Leo's trip to Africa. So we have a lot to get to today. Again, we will put the show notes up for you at the top of the hour, and you get to have a take on all of this as well in the after show. Hang out with us on the live video feeds at thestationofthecross.com/ACT. Let's get after it. Let's pray. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen. Remember, O most gracious Virgin Mary, that never was it known that anyone who fled to thy protection, implored thy help, or sought thine intercession was left unaided. Inspired by this confidence, I fly unto thee, O Virgin of Virgins, my Mother. To thee do I come, before thee I stand, sinful and sorrowful. O Mother of the Word incarnate, despise not my petitions, but in thy mercy hear and answer me. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And now your saint of the day.
Saint Anselm of Canterbury, pray for us. Anselm was born to a noble family in what is now northern Italy around the year 1033. When his pious mother died, Anselm's own piety waned somewhat, though he retained a love of learning. To avoid his father's harsh temperament, the young man left home, ending up at the Abbey of Bec in Normandy. There his faith grew strong, and he wrote many works of theology and philosophy. He was made the reluctant abbot of Bec in 1078, then the even more reluctant Archbishop of Canterbury in 1093. Immediately, Anselm and King William II clashed over matters of authority, a conflict that persisted until William's death, while Anselm was in exile on the continent. Anselm defended the Filioque at the Council of Bari, among other services to Rome, then returned to England, where he finally established the Gregorian reforms. Further conflict with King Henry I drove Anselm into exile again a few years later, but he eventually returned, victorious in upholding the rights of the Church. Anselm died peacefully in Canterbury in the year of our Lord 1109. For his magnificent writings, he was named a Doctor of the Church in 1720. For more about the saints and seasons of the Catholic Church, visit thestationofthecross.com/saints and seasons. St. Anselm of Canterbury, pray for us.
And now your headline news. Ground News reports over 7,900 have died or disappeared on the migration routes in 2025, according to the UN. The International Organization for Migration reported 7,904 migrant deaths or disappearances in just 2025, describing the figures as a continuation of a global failure to prevent these losses. Documented deaths and disappearances since 2014 have now risen and surpassed 80,000 people. Pray for their repose. The Associated Press reports the Supreme Court to hear Catholic preschool case involving same-sex parents. On Monday, the Supreme Court agreed to hear arguments regarding whether Colorado must exempt Catholic entities from a non-discrimination provision in its state-funded preschool program. Attorneys for the Catholic entities claim the law contains loopholes, while the state argues that the non-discrimination provision lacks exemptions, citing a 1990 Supreme Court ruling in Employment Division versus Smith. We'll see how it comes out. And Zeal reports Canadian Cardinal asks lawmakers to stop euthanasia expansion. Cardinal Frank Leo of Toronto is calling on Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney to support legislation blocking euthanasia for those whose sole condition is mental illness. Euthanasia deaths have now risen 16-fold since 2016, now accounting for 1 in every 20 deaths in Canada. God help us. And those are your headline news. The gospel today from the Novus Ordo Missae comes to us from John chapter 6, verses 30 through 35. At that time, the Jews said to Jesus, "What sign, therefore, dost thou show, that we may see and may believe thee? What dost thou work? Our fathers did eat manna in the desert. As it is written, he gave them bread from heaven to eat." And then Jesus said to them, "Amen, amen, I say to you, Moses gave you not bread from heaven, but my Father giveth you the true bread from heaven. For the bread of God is that which cometh down from heaven, and giveth life to the world." And they said therefore unto him, "Lord, give us always this bread." And Jesus said to them, "I am the bread of life. He that cometh to me shall not hunger, and he that believeth in me shall never thirst." The Gospel of the Lord. Laus tibi Christi. Did you catch it? I am the bread of life. Ego eimi, the famous ego eimi. How many times have you heard me harp on this Greek word, this conjunction of Greek words? Ego eimi. It reminds us of the burning bush. They're speaking of Moses, and Jesus is responding with Moses. And it's like a sledgehammer to their soul, and they will reject him over it. Cornelius a Lapide would say, as though they said, "Feed us all our lives, as thou didst feed us yesterday, and as Moses fed our fathers 40 years. Then we will believe thee when thou declarest that thou art Messiah, the Son of God." So reasoned the Jews as being animal and carnal, when they ought rather to have reasoned according to the Spirit thus. This Jesus has multiplied bread. He heals whatsoever sick person he pleases. He casts out devils. He raises the dead and does many other miracles which Moses did not do. One greater than Moses is here. He is doing everything the Messiah is supposed to do. Raise the dead, give sight to the blind, hearing to the deaf. He's supposed to cure all of those with ills, cast out devils. He is doing everything, and he does even greater things than Moses. Moses walked through the parted sea, walked through the waters. Jesus walks on top of the waters and commands the sea. Doesn't have to strike it with his staff, but speaks the word, and it is done. He is greater than Moses. And he does them, the commentary goes on, and he does them with this very end and object, that he may by them prove that he is the Messiah sent by God. Therefore, he must be truly the Messiah.
When Moses gave the manna and showed other signs, he did not do them in order that he might prove that he was the Messiah, but only a leader of the people and a lawgiver sent by God. In fact, Moses would tell them in a prophecy, one greater than me is going to be among you. One greater than I. Moses told them, but they didn't listen. Wherefore the people believed in him and so accounted of him. Do you therefore in like manner, saith Jesus, believe in me and account me to be such a one as I prove by my miracles that I am ego eimi, even the Messiah. The Ignatius Catholic Study Bible would say he gave them bread, a reference to Exodus 16:4. Jesus is challenged to match the provision of manna by Moses. He responds by stressing that although the manna had a heavenly origin, it did not bring the Israelites to their heavenly destiny. Manna is rather a food that perishes, since it melted away every morning, Exodus 16:21, and turned foul if it was stored overnight. The true bread, the wilderness manna, was not false bread. It was merely a sign, a symbol, a foreshadowing, a hint of something greater to come, a sign of the imperishable Eucharistic bread that the Father sends down from heaven in Jesus. The Old Testament is but the taste, the foretaste, the teaser, the foreshadowing, the hint. The New Testament is the reality. If the Old Testament was great, the New Testament is really great. It's greater, it's heavenly, it's divine. It's better in every way. Jesus says, ego eimi. We should believe him. We should believe him. And you should too. We'll be back in 2 minutes. We're going to catch an update on Lebanon. Don't go anywhere.
Introducing iCatholic Mobile, a mobile phone service that keeps you connected while supporting your faith. With every call, text, or web browse, a portion of your plan helps sustain the mission of the Station of the Cross Catholic Media Network to spread the truth, defend the unborn, and strengthen souls. More info at iCatholicMobile.com. iCatholic Mobile underwrites for the Station of the Cross.
Hear what our listeners are saying about the regularly updated iCatholic Radio mobile app.
iCatholic Radio is the most truthful and important site that any of us could ever listen to today. We get the truth. We get good people telling us what is going on in the world. Thank you so much. It's a gift from God.
Download the free iCatholic Radio mobile app today on your Android or Apple mobile device.
A prayer to the Sacred Heart that St. Gertrude the Great wrote. I salute thee, O Sacred Heart of Jesus, living and vivifying source of eternal life, infinite treasure of the divinity, ardent furnace of divine love. Thou art the place of my repose and my refuge. Enkindle in my heart the fire of that ardent love with which thine own is inflamed. Pour into my heart the great graces of which thine is the source, and grant that my heart may be so closely united to thine, that thy will may be mine, and that my will may be eternally conformed to thine, since I desire that henceforth thy holy will may be the rule of all my desires and all my actions. Amen.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McClane. So good to be on with you. Praise be to God in all things. Hey, breaking news right now. Apparently, J.D. Vance's trip to Pakistan to continue the negotiations to try to bring an end to the Iran war that nobody loves, by the way. Nobody loves it. Nobody, I guess, besides Donald Trump and Bibi Netanyahu. But apparently that's been put on hold, as Iran doesn't want to acquiesce to any of the key demands here, which means that the war in southern Lebanon continues. Aid to the Church in Need is covering it and giving us an update this hour. Edward Clancy joins us. Edward, good afternoon. Thanks for being on the team.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
So let's talk about southern Lebanon right now. What is the status? What are they going through there right now?
Well, especially the Christian community, the towns that border the sort of the trifecta point of Syria, Israel, and Lebanon, which is sometimes called the Valley of Christians or the Christian section of Lebanon. The people are sort of sheltered at home, and their problem is that they really have nothing to do other than to move from their homes to some of the church centers where they're getting some aid and comfort.
How much damage has been done to their neighborhoods, to their infrastructure, their ability to live, eat, breathe, all of that?
The biggest problem that they're having right now is the destruction of their economies and obviously the lack of movement. And for the children, lack of schooling, because it's been many months now where their regular activities, regular school days have been disrupted.
Edward, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
You just dropped off a bit. So their lives are pretty much disrupted at this point. Are they living, you said shelter in place earlier, are they living in tents? Do they have refugee centers set up? What does that look like?
It's sort of a mixture. So there are some, in fact, Aid to the Church is helping a couple of shelter centers. Sisters of Perpetual Help have 14 Christian families. The Greek Melkite Patriarchate has about 29 families of about 130 people. All told, there's somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,200 Christians that are either moved away from their homes or in some sort of relocation center, parish center, or something like that.
Now, there's been some debate over whether or not southern Lebanon was included in the deal between the United States and Iran. Of course, I know Israel doesn't seem to want it to be included in the deal, but Iran seems to want it. And Pakistan suggests that it was originally. Do you know, do we know for sure whether or not they're trying to, is this one of the negotiating points that's maybe falling through, or is Lebanon being left to the side here and I guess Israel gets to continue to decimate these people's homes?
Unfortunately, as usual, it seems that the Christian question or Christian populations are really not high priority in these areas. So Lebanon was, for the most part, not highlighted because it doesn't receive headlines. I think we've noticed the same thing, that when there's violence in Africa or other places where Christians are affected, it comes in and out of the headlines very quickly.
Now, this has been a conflict between Israel and Hezbollah. Hezbollah being, an arm of the IRGC in Iran, which is why they're attacking these locations and trying to create a buffer zone. At least that's what we're being told. What about the government of Lebanon? What are they saying? And they're staying out of it. Is that because they feel like there's nothing they can do militarily to defend their own population? Do they feel like staying out of it is best to not stir the pot and make this worse? I mean, what are they saying?
Well, the situation for the government is that they are not in favor of Hezbollah for sure. And the other issue is that they have to live with the fact that Hezbollah will be vindictive of anybody who assists in, let's say, their expulsion. So you have to live with the question that if they act to push Hezbollah out or to, fight against Hezbollah, and it's unsuccessful, and then the United States or other countries back away, these Christian communities especially will be left sort of hanging in the wind.
What is the ability to get aid into this location? It being a war zone, how easy is it or how hard is it?
Well, currently it's very difficult. The problem is obviously there's no easy movement. The resiliency of the Christian community is almost superhuman. but there are limitations. Luckily, the communities themselves have been somewhat preparing for these things at all times. So there is sort of emergency rations and the ability to sustain themselves for short periods of time. But obviously, the longer and longer it goes, the worse and worse it'll get.
I've heard reports also of what they refer to as the devil tap, where they will strike a location and then they'll come back and strike it again after emergency crews have shown up. And so a lot of the first responders have become targets themselves. Is that true?
I have not heard any confirmation of that, but that has happened in the past in many of these locations in the Middle East where there's been movement of materials or people or aid to a place where there's been some sort of destruction.
Which makes it even more, precarious, I would imagine. You want to help, you that's your job to come help, and yet you might be a target in the end, and that makes it even harder to help people in the future with less and less folks to be around to render aid as it is needed. So what do you see as what is the foreseeable future here? If the United States can negotiate a deal with Iran, do you think things will calm down in southern Lebanon?
Well, there's always hope that that's the case. And one of the things that we as Christians, especially in the United States, have to advocate for that. The presence of Christians in Lebanon literally goes back to the time when the apostles left the upper room to go spread the gospel to all corners of the earth. So within days of Jesus' ascension, Lebanon was evangelized. That's not something we should take lightly. And obviously the community that's there has no desire or plan to leave unless it becomes completely unbearable.
Wow. I've heard, I had somebody recently tell me that, these Christians living in southern Lebanon should have gotten rid of Hezbollah themselves and they wouldn't have been targets at that point. I imagine it's more complicated than that, though.
Yes, it is. That one of the problems in those communities is that the Christian community, even though it has representation in the government and in the Lebanese government structure, the president of Lebanon and the head of the military are both Christians. But it was only until recently that there is actually leadership. So there was something in the neighborhood of a 2-year gap where there wasn't a government in Lebanon, and there are many problems with the economy. So the problem in Lebanon is multifaceted and has many different directions. So they've had economic problems. They obviously have political issues, and now they have military incursions. If you add that to all of that's going on within Lebanon, you see that the Christian community is getting squeezed from 4 or 5 different sides.
Wow. If the war were to stop today, how long would it take them to rebuild?
We can use Iraq as an example, where it took about 3 months for there to be sort of any real relocation of people. But in the situation in Iraq, it was an occupied territory that had to be demined and sort of investigated for armaments and things like that. This would be probably less so. But nonetheless, if you have shells, if you have different things that were fired into the area, there's going to have to be an inspection. Some of the buildings that might have been damaged will have to be inspected beyond looking at just the destruction, but also what are the contaminants left behind, what has been done to the soil, the farms, things like that. The Lebanese Christian community has been very resilient. Most of the better olive vines, the orchards are Christian families. And that's the essential part of the Lebanese economy.
Before we run out of time, I do want to switch over to the Pope Leo's trip to Africa. I mean, there was a lot of news last week between Donald Trump and Pope Leo, which I found that incredibly interesting, to say the least, considering how far to the left Donald Trump seems to be on some key issues. And in Pope Leo speaking out against terrorism in places like Nigeria, do you think that that trip was fruitful? I mean, was it impactful? What stood out to you?
I think the very beginning of it, when the Pope visited Algeria, because Algeria faced an incredible amount of targeted martyrdom or attacks on Christianity. Do you remember back in the 1990s, I think there were like 19 Catholic priests who were killed, or priests and Catholics, in a very short period of time?
Yeah.
And Algeria is a community that's very representative of what Africa is like, because even though there's only about 9,000 to 10,000 Christians within the community, almost all of them have come from outside of Algeria. And it shows the nature of the Christian community in many parts of Africa, which is very fluid. And then if you go some of the other countries that the Pope visited, Cameroon, Angola, and Equatorial Guinea, you see that each of them has different problems. In Cameroon, you have internal struggles that verging on civil war. Angola is facing a history of past, essentially, socialist, Marxist oppression. And in Equatorial Guinea, which is the smallest of the countries, is a country that has economically more power than many of the other countries within its neighborhood. And yet it's still suffering from many problems that Africa has.
Mm. You know, I wanted Pope Leo to visit Nigeria. I thought that would have been amazing. I asked this to Michael Haynes, Vatican journalist. It's I guess speculated that he didn't go because of security concerns. Do you know of any other reason why he might not have gone? It just didn't work out in the schedule, anything like that? I mean, were there real concerns about his safety? There was I think one suicide bomber not far from him, but you got about 40 seconds.
And there would have to be security concerns for the Pope to visit Nigeria. We've seen so many attacks. There's 3 major terrorist groups, and the military in Nigeria has not shown themselves to be very robust or very capable of protecting communities.
Edward Clancy, Aid to the Church in Need. I really appreciate you being on, giving us an update. Thank you for that. God bless you. Churchinneed.org, churchinneed.org. If you want to help the Lebanese, the Christians in southern Lebanon right now, you can do that by donating right to Aid to the Church in Need, and that would go a long way. Praise be to God, churchinneed.org. But coming up after the break, let's take a little bit of a trip down memory lane as we are remembering Pope Francis 1 year ago laid to rest. God rest his soul, but I'm having some flashbacks about a deal gone bad and Catholics being persecuted.
Have you ever dialogued with someone who espouses relativism, which says there is no truth, or it might be true for you, but not for me? It's pretty frustrating. Deep down, we know these claims are false, but we often don't know why. Here's the reason. To say there is no truth is a contradiction. The assertion is tantamount to saying it's true that there is no truth. Plain absurdity. Now, the other position, there is no absolute truth, just truth relative to the individual set of beliefs, is problematic as well. The usage of the verb is implies an assertion about the objective order of things. It's the same thing as saying it's absolutely true that there is no absolute truth, which of course is a contradiction. No matter how the relativist slices the pie, he ends up with a contradiction, making relativism an unreasonable worldview. I'm Carlo Broussard with a ready reason for Catholic Answers, Catholic.com.
At the Station of the Cross Catholic Media Network, we proudly bring the truths of the Catholic faith to countless listeners through radio and mobile devices. Hear how our listeners have been impacted.
I found Catholic radio about 4 years ago. I would say that I'm obsessed with it. I listen to it on my way to work. I listen to it when I pick up my son in the afternoon. I listen to it when I get to work. And I also listen to it 3 times in the middle of the night, usually. Sometimes I just have things on my mind, and just knowing that it's there is bringing me comfort. I like making donations so that I can keep Catholic radio on the air and hopefully touch other people as much as Catholic radio has touched me.
If you've been blessed by listening to the Station of the Cross, please let us know. Call 877-888-6279 extension 112 and share your testimonial with us.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McClane. Praise be to God. It is good to be on with you. Here's another piece of breaking news for you. It seems like Israel has sentenced the soldier who smashed the face of Jesus from a crucifix in southern Lebanon as they went through this Christian home and destroyed what they didn't like the crucifix, a statue of Our Lady, an image of Our Lady, and other items. Pretty par for the course, I would say, for Christians in southern Lebanon and in the Holy Land to receive this kind of treatment. But nonetheless, the IDF has sentenced the soldier to 30 days in military detention for doing this. So that's good news, I would say. Praise be to God. But, I don't know. Perhaps maybe he could, ask the world to forgive him for blasphemy. That would be another great opportunity, I would say. But I guess I'm not going to hold my breath too much. But we're remembering a little bit of memory lane because Pope Francis was laid to rest this time last year. Yesterday, we had a great conversation with Dr. Kwasniewski about the book that he published through his publishing house, The Disastrous Pontificate. If you didn't watch yesterday's show, you can catch the entire conversation on my YouTube channel or check out the podcast at thestationofthecross.com/ACT. The podcast is linked up. The videos are linked up. It's all right there. Plus, you can be a part of the conversation at thestationofthecross.com/ACT. But we can all remember that back in the day when Pope Francis rose to power after the conclave that elected him, that he brought McCarrick out of banishment. McCarrick had been put into banishment by Benedict XVI, albeit quietly. Still, he was put there. And it was Pope Francis that brought him out from the dustbin and put him back in the service. And the service that he would be put to for Holy Mother Church was, in fact, to negotiate a deal between China and the Vatican. A mysterious deal. One that we don't know exactly what the rules are. Who gets what and who does what. We don't actually know. Many have speculated that this deal was made for money, so that money could be supplied to the Vatican City State as needed, because at that time, with all the scandals rising, a lot of those donations were falling off. We don't know. We simply don't know if money was exchanged or involved in the deal. Now, it is not new that communist countries like China, for instance, in this case, get to choose the bishops. That much is that's what we know. That much we know about the deal. China gets to choose the bishops. The Pope is supposed to get a veto option out of the deal. But so far, no veto has been exercised, and every bishop is just accepted. In fact, China has just elevated bishops and didn't even bother to submit their names first. Now, that is not new. In fact, under the Soviet Union, Karol Wojtyła's name was put on a list and submitted to the Vatican as a potential candidate to become a bishop. It was approved. He became a bishop, and eventually he would be elevated. And then, of course, in 1978, the Cardinal of Krakow would become JP2. So it's par for the course. The Vatican is not naive. They've been around the block. They understand what it means to work with these communist countries. But there's something even more nefarious about this particular deal. Because the deal, the gift that keeps on giving, there's a Human Rights Watch report that just came out on April the 15th, so last week. Headline says, China pressure on Catholics escalates. Vatican agreement with Beijing on bishops facilitates crackdown. So the very deal that Cardinal McCarrick negotiated on behalf of Pope Francis has now been renewed multiple times, is actually leading to a crackdown, a punishment, a persecution of the Catholics there. I find this interesting because as we think back on the disastrous pontificate of Pope Francis, I'm sure there are some today who are thinking very fondly of Pope Francis.
Certainly not me, because it was a game changer for me in my personal career, something I talked about yesterday on the after show. Here's a book, Vigano versus the Vatican. This came out in 2019 by Marco Tossati, talking about how it was Pope Francis brought Theodore McCarrick up out of the ashes of banishment and put him back into use. Then there was this book right here by Giulia Maloney, The St. Gallen Mafia, exposing the secret reformist group within the church. I found this very, very fascinating. I interviewed Giulia Maloney on this subject. In fact, I had more than one conversation with Giulia Maloney on this subject. And now Giulia Maloney has gone and she's taken herself off of social media, trying to just be a wife and a mom, and has left the social world behind. And I don't blame her, because there was a lot of attention to this. If you turn to page 95, it becomes very juicy. Cardinal McCarrick talking about the St. Gallen Mafia's connections, this network of secret bishops and prelates. Cardinals would get together in St. Gallen, Switzerland, and they would try to lobby and negotiate who they want to rise to the top of the church and wield power. He says, quote, just before the pre-conclave meetings known as a general congregations began, that is shortly before March 4th, a very interesting and influential Italian gentleman approached his friend, the Cardinal Theodore McCarrick. You know, why am I reading this to you? I can just show it to you. You can hear it from Cardinal McCarrick yourself. Have a listen.
Bergoglio was a friend of mine because I live in a religious community in Washington, and it's a community that was founded in Argentina. So, you know, they were always talking about Bergoglio, the Archbishop in Argentina, and about maybe just before we went into the general conversations when everybody can talk. Very interesting and influential Italian gentleman came to ask if he'd come to see me. So I said, sure, and he came to see me at the seminary, the American college where I was staying. We sat down. This is a very brilliant man, very influential man in Rome, and we talked about a number of things. He had a favor to ask me for back here in the United States. But then he said, what about Bergoglio? And I was surprised at the question. I said, what about him? He said, does he have a chance? I said, I don't think so, because no one's mentioned his name. He hasn't been in his mind. I don't think it's...
Actually, I'm not sure he was even telling the truth there, because it was widely rumored from leaks, because the leaks always come out of these conclaves, that in the conclave that elected Benedict XVI in 2005, it was a tight match between Bergoglio and Ratzinger. Ratzinger came out as Benedict XVI. Bergoglio didn't. But when 2013 came around and Benedict XVI retired, which, by the way, if you didn't catch the conversation between Dr. Anthony Stein and Michael Hitchborn on this channel about the resignation of Benedict XVI, boy, you should check that out. Apparently, there's an ongoing investigation. You should have a listen. But I'm not sure the late, great McCarrick is telling the truth here. But anyway, let's continue.
I don't think it's on anybody's mind to vote for him. He said he could do it, you know. I said, what could he do? He said he could reform the church. He gave him 5 years. He could put us back on target.
Put us back on target. Give him 5 years, and he could put us back on target.
76. Yeah, 5 years. If you had 5 years, the Lord working through Bergoglio in 5 years could make the church over again.
Could make the church over again. That was Cardinal Theodore McCarrick, or the former Cardinal Theodore McCarrick, disgraced Cardinal Theodore McCarrick, who's now passed on. God rest his soul. Hopefully he repented before he died, because he would go on and lobby, breaking canon law prior to the conclave, to try to curry favor and votes for Bergoglio, who came out as Pope Francis. So it was, in fact, the gift that keeps on giving. The bad one, the horrible one, the summer of shame in 2018 that Vigano cracked so much light on, which ended up being excommunicated over that deal. That didn't go so well. But let's go to this article here. I'm going to link to all of this in the show notes for you. China-Vatican deal on bishops is escalating repression of Catholics from a Human Rights Watch. I'm going to link directly to their article as well in the show notes. It says Chinese authorities are increasing pressure on Catholic communities to join the state-controlled church under tighter ideological and administrative restrictions. April 15th, Human Rights Watch published a report according to which the Chinese government has escalated measures against Catholic communities across the country by strengthening ideological oversight, surveillance systems, and administrative restrictions. The government is particularly targeting underground Catholics who refuse to join the state-run Chinese Catholic Patriotic Association against the backdrop of the 2018 provisional agreement between the Holy See and Beijing on the appointment of bishops. A decade into Xi Jinping's Sinonization campaign and nearly 8 years since the 2018 Holy See-China agreement, Catholics in China face escalating repression that violates their religious freedoms. According to the HRW, Human Rights Watch, the Chinese authorities have intensified efforts to compel underground Catholic communities to affiliate with official church structure. The pressure reportedly included arbitrary detention, enforced disappearances, torture, and prolonged house arrest of clergy who resist compliance. The organization based its findings on interviews with 9 individuals possessing direct knowledge of Catholic life in China, along with expert consultations and analysis of official documents and state media. Contrary to the Holy See's official statements, the report argues that the 2018 Holy See-China agreement on bishops has helped the Chinese government to pressure underground Catholic communities to join the official state-run church, close quote. For this reason, they urge Pope Leo should urgently review the agreement and press Beijing to end the persecution and intimidation of underground churches, clergy, and worshipers. Significantly, the report notes that the summary of its findings was sent not only to the Chinese government, but also to the Holy See with a request for a comment. However, neither has responded. Complete silence. Officially, the contents of the secret agreement between the Holy See and Beijing, first signed in 2018 under Pope Francis by his buddy, then Cardinal Theodore McCarrick, let that sink in, with long-standing involvement of the Secretariat of the State, Cardinal Theodore McCarrick, has never been disclosed. The details have never been disclosed. In recent years, however, it has become something of an open secret. As the report notes, under the 2018 Holy See-China agreement, Beijing proposes candidates for bishops that the Pope can then veto, though the agreement's full text has never been made public. The agreement has been renewed. I said twice earlier, I was wrong. It's 3 times. And it's now valid through October of 2028. What is most striking, however, is another point. According to the Human Rights Watch sources, no pope has exercised his veto even after the Chinese government violated the terms by unilaterally appointing bishops. Pope Leo XIV, in office since May of 2025, has also approved Beijing's 5 appointments. Now, in all fairness, I want to say Pope Leo said, I don't know, maybe 2 months ago now, that they need to review this agreement. He made some statement along those lines. I hope that meant that they may get rid of this. Let's just pray that they do. But the article goes on. People interviewed said that the 2018 agreement provided an overreaching structure for the authorities to pressure underground Catholics. Quote, it left them with no other choice but to join the official church, said a person whose church was demolished, its cross removed, and its members threatened and arrested. Another person said the agreement has proven to be an intelligent weapon to legally destroy underground churches. The article says, while the Chinese government persecutes bishops it regards as dissidents, the Vatican remains publicly silent. Publicly silent. Cardinal McCarrick was a member of the St. Gallen Mafia who broke canon law to publicly lobby for a candidate, which you're not allowed to do, but he did it anyway. And according to James Grine, whom I've interviewed a number of times, showed up with cash in envelopes to pass out, to curry favor. Bad things happened in that disastrous pontificate. Pray for the repose of Pope Francis, because many, many bad things happened under his watch. Let's pray that he died in a state of grace. We'll be back in 2 minutes. I have good news for you.
Catholic radio has just been a lifesaver for me. I still listen to it every day. I start my day with it. I listen to it all day long as much as I can. I am very grateful for it.
It's just an amazing thing to have, as I am new to Catholicism. Obviously, it's not only helping me, but it's helping so many other people on their walk.
Thank you. God bless you for iCatholic Radio. It has changed my life.
Donate today at thestationofthecross.com.
The Station of the Cross Catholic Media Network is dedicated to answering the critical need of access to quality, consistent, professional, and proven Catholic programming. We cannot rely on other media outlets to properly represent our Church. Catholic radio reaches Catholics, non-Catholic Christians, and non-believers alike. As a nonprofit lay organization financially independent of your diocese, our apostolate is listener-supported.
Did you know that an unwanted car or truck can make a great gift? When the time comes to purchase a new one, consider donating your old car or truck to the Station of the Cross. We have a quick and simple way for you to get rid of your unwanted vehicle while supporting the solid Catholic programming you love listening to on your radio, online, and through your mobile devices. Whether they run or not, we accept cars, trucks, RVs, boats, and motorcycles. It's a great opportunity for you to give more than you might normally be able to. At the same time, you'll be clearing out space in your garage or driveway, ridding yourself of an unwanted vehicle. Just visit us online at thestationofthecross.com or call 1-866-628-CARS, 1-866-628-2277. May God bless you for your generosity in support of Catholic radio.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McClane. Praise be to God. It is good to be on with you. By the way, I'm going to Spain and Portugal this November, the 9th through the 21st, 13-day pilgrimage, but it's a traditional Latin Mass pilgrimage. Father João Silveira is going to be with us. He's a missionary in Africa, by the way, and he'll be saying the traditional Latin Mass every day. It's going to be an amazing trip. We're going to go to incredible places: Barcelona, Madrid, Avila, Fatima. So Our Lady of Fatima, Our Lady of Pilar, the bilocation, Our Lady of Guadalupe. Everybody thinks about Mexico City, but it all it connects right back to Spain. We'll be talking about that and going there and seeing these things firsthand. We'd love to have you on the team with us. Select International Tours is the organization that's bringing us. SelectInternationalTours.com. And I'll put a link to it for you in the show notes at the top of the hour. But we would love to have you this November in a 13-day pilgrimage. Go to thestationofthecross.com/ACT for the show notes. Now, I've been talking about Cardinal McCarrick and his connection to Pope Francis. I keep calling him Cardinal. He was actually disgraced. You know, I don't want to. I do have good news for you. I want to share some good news here in just 1 second. Part of the reason why he got disgraced was because of the grave connections between him and Pope Francis. It was Cardinal DiNardo who went to Rome asking permission from Francis to initiate a third-party independent investigation into how then Cardinal McCarrick could rise through the ranks after everyone knew that he was a wolf in sheep's clothing, consuming the innocent as a part of the St. Gallen Mafia. And we were supposed to get down to figuring that out. Pope Francis told DiNardo to go home and do whatever Cardinal DiNardo tells you to do. A source at the Vatican told me that one personally, by the way. And he was defrocked. Instead of put on trial, like Marco Rupnik is supposed to be put on trial, and we're supposed to figure out, you know, his guilt or innocence from the crimes that he allegedly committed against the nuns in his own order, molesting them, etc. McCarrick was supposed to be put on trial. His crimes exposed, his guilt revealed to the world as a part of the public scandal that he has created, having molested so many young men. But that's not what happened. They made him a Mr. McCarrick. And then the world would never know, because they washed their hands like Pontius Pilate before Jesus in the crowds. And they let him go, and he would die in his old age. That scandal is just one but of many in the 13-year pontificate of Pope Francis that did so much damage to Holy Mother Church. Let us pray for the healing and the acts of reparation that still need to be done. But speaking of healing, there may be, in fact, some healing on the horizon. I'm going to link to this story in the news for you as well from EWTN. Hundreds of men to be ordained in the United States in 2026. This is good news indeed. Good news indeed. More than 400 men will be ordained to the priesthood in the United States this year. And on average, they are 33 years old and are lifelong Catholics, according to CARA statistics. Now, for years, I would download the latest CARA statistics, which would be on the Georgetown website, and I would analyze the data. I don't think you can even do that anymore. I think they've since blocked it. It's been a few years since I've had access to it. But every time I would look at it, the statistics were atrocious. Churches being shuttered, no priests, no religious, nobody baptizing their kids, nobody confirming their kids and getting them Catholic education. It was just all incredibly negative. There was only one positive number out of all of them. No sacramental marriages. People were shacking up. The numbers were atrocious for year after year after year. The only positive number on the list that I saw directly with my own eyeballs was permanent deacons. Always, never a shortage of permanent deacons. It was the only positive number. Everything else completely tanked, horrible numbers, bad all the way. Could we be turning a corner here? I want to skip through their demographic background because I do not care about the how much brown is in someone's skin or lack thereof, or the accent upon their tongue or their background. I care that they give their life to Christ in persona Christi. I care about their fiat, their yes. I don't care about their education, but their prayer practices. Now this I find interesting. Many ordinands, 81%, reported participation in Eucharistic adoration when asked about their prayer practices before entering seminary. Many also reported praying the rosary on a regular basis, 79%. Prayer and Bible groups, 52%. Lectio Divina, 48%. Overall, 93% of ordinands participated in at least one parish ministry before entering the seminary. Many reported that they had been active in parish life by serving as altar servers, 79%, lectors, 49%, campus and youth ministers, 34%, catechists, 32%. Most ordinands, 92%, were encouraged by at least one person to join the priesthood. For many, it was a parish priest, 70%, friends, 49%, or a mother, 46%. Dads, where are you, dads? Why is dads not even on this list? Why is it only moms? Dads, come on now. Anyway, it goes on. Some also noted discouraging influences, including family members, 22%, and classmates and friends at 17%. The report found that 4% of respondents had served in the U.S. Armed Forces. 12% reported their parents had a military career in the U.S. I don't know why that matters. Doesn't matter to me. I don't know if it matters to you. Most respondents were baptized Catholics as an infant, 93%, with just 7% who reported they became Catholic later in life. So the cradle Catholics holding it down. Where are the converts at? Well, maybe it's because as converts we come in already married most times, so we sort of missed that one. Most ordinands also reported that both of their parents were Catholic, 86%, praise be to God. The majority of respondents, 88%, reported that they were raised by a married couple living together, with 97% who were raised by both biological parents, and 11% were raised by grandparents. Of respondents, 28% said that they have a relative who is a priest or religious. Most said they have a sibling or siblings, 96%. So some prayer life, praise be to God, some piety. But here's some really good news. I saw this today. I think I'm linking to this in the show notes as well. This is a chart. It says among Catholic priests who were ordained in the late 1960s, so that boomer generation, 68% described their ideology as progressive. 16% said they were conservative. So ordained in the 60s, the majority are progressive. However, among priests ordained in the last few years, only 2% describe their ideology or their theology as progressive. 84% said it was conservative. This is good news indeed. The chart shows a very clear shift. And here's something that I've said whenever I've had the opportunity to travel and speak at parishes or events, or if I've ever had an opportunity to speak to priests, especially young priests. I would say this to them. Father, the thing that the lay folk need to know is that you are madly in love with Holy Mother Church. Like you are sold out 100% on the team for Orthodoxy and Holy Mother Church. You should live your life as though that statement is in fact true. That if you believe that, you will live that. And if you live that, they will know that. And if they know that, they will trust you and they will follow you. And you will impact them in powerful ways. Because you are madly in love with the bride of Christ, which is their bride too. If you want the laity to trust more into the hierarchy, because golly gee whiz, Cardinal McCarrick, anyone, then holiness is the key. When our young priests show us that they are madly in love with Holy Mother Church, with orthodoxy, with truth, let the chips fall where they may, I tell you, amazing things could happen. And if we start seeing a groundswell of ordained young men who are madly in love with Holy Mother Church, we're going to see some great things in our future. This is hope. This is joy. This is good news. We'll see you tomorrow. God love you. So what did you think of today's show? Let's discuss that right now in the after show. Your take on the after take. Comment, interact live with me and the team. All you need to do is search for one of our live video feeds on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, LinkedIn, and elsewhere. Simply search for the Station of the Cross, Joe McClane, or A Catholic Take. I'm looking forward to seeing you and interacting with you directly. It all starts right now. It's the after show.
Welcome back for the after show.
Praise be to God in all things. Good afternoon, everybody. James 16897. Praise be to God. Glad to see you on the team. Texas Roxanne. Cardinal Donardo asked for the investigation. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And the only reason why he did ask was because he was the president of the USCCB in 2018. And this became a massive, massive deal. And, I got to say, I've lived in Houston, Texas now this is my 20th year. Come November, I will have been in Houston for 20 years. Please pray that I will be able to escape this prison at some point. I'd be grateful. At any rate, and when I got here, it wasn't long after I got here that Cardinal Donardo became the bishop here. And first he was archbishop, then he was made cardinal. And then I ran the Catholic Radio apostolate here for a very long time, for more than a decade. And I got to tell you, I had a front row seat to a lot of things happening in this diocese. I was very well connected all across this massive archdiocese. Some 2 million Catholics, 7 million plus 8 million people living here, 150 parishes. I was all over this place all the time. And I got to see Cardinal Donardo on a number of occasions. And there were a lot of people who did not like Cardinal Donardo. And I got to tell you, in many ways, even myself, I would say I had a love-hate relationship with Cardinal Donardo because he would do things that I would sometimes be incredibly frustrated over. Like, for instance, when he allowed a Protestant church to use the cathedral for their air quotes here, ordination ceremony. I mean, Everybody got mad at him over that one. Everybody was upset about that. It was so scandalous. There are other examples too, I'm sure. But nonetheless, I can tell you though that on the other side of that coin, he did some pretty good things, great things. In his own chancery, there was great resistance to 40 Days for Life. There were people in his own staff who were trying to block and prevent 40 Days for Life from being established in this archdiocese. Well, Cardinal Leonardo was like, nope, we're going to have them. So he had to fight his own people. Unfortunately, I think he should have fired those people because that's the better response, is just to get rid of them and get people whom you can trust, who are Orthodox and heterodox, instead of progressive boomers from the hippie generation that just want to like flower child type of thing. But nonetheless, he did ensure that 40 Days for Life could come. When I was hired at the Guadalupe Radio Network to establish the Catholic radio station in Houston, Texas, Sheila Jackson Lee and the Reverend Jesse Jackson got together and they lobbied against us in Houston, Texas, calling us the racists. Why are we racist? Because we were not black people buying the radio station from a black owner, or actually from a black neighborhood. The radio station that we purchased had been in that neighborhood or had served that community for decades. And the owner was wanting to retire and sell and move on with his life. So he put it out to market. The Guadalupe Radio Network offered full price. Businessmen from that community got together and they offered half price. And they just expected to be given it because they were in that community. And the owner's like, I think I'm going to give it to the one giving me full price instead. So we got labeled as racists. So the Reverend Jesse Jackson and Sheila Jackson Lee, the Congresswoman, God rest her soul, both of them are dead now. They lobbied against us, not just in town, not just with the local news outlets and the newspapers and the community, but they went to the Chancery for the Catholic Church and lambasted us there. And staff at the Chancery were lobbying against us from buying that radio station and bringing Catholic radio to Houston, Texas. But by the grace of God, Leonardo was like, nope, we're going to let this radio station go through. I remember the fraternity parish, the traditional Latin Mass community that my family belongs to, the fraternity, the St. Peter. When they came to town, there was huge resistance from the Chancery. Notice the trend here? Are you catching any trends? Yeah, there was a big trend. There was an effort by staff at the Chancery to block the traditional Latin Mass community from being firmly established and growing here. And in fact, I remember the first time I ever met the pastor, Father Van Fleet, amazing man, came to the radio station. I was going to put him on the air. We're going to have a little convo, and I was pretty naive in those days. This was before 2018. This is before Vigano drops all of the hidden secrets. This is before the St. Gallen Mafia. This is before the summer of Shane and McCarrick and all the rest. I was just very oblivious, and I was trying to be Mr. Catholic and go along to get along and hang out with Sister Pantsuit and Permanent Deacon Centering Prayer guy and the Acts group and the Knights and just everybody. I was just trying to be Mr. Catholic Radio to everybody. So I got along with everybody. Why not? Why not get along with the trad priest too? Why not? So I invite him in. And I'm like, Father, why don't we talk about the differences between the Tridentine Mass and the Novus Ordo Mass? He's like, oh, no, I don't think so. I'm like, what? What do you mean? Why wouldn't we do that? He's like, I'll get in so much trouble. I'm like, how could you get in trouble? What are you talking about? Like, this is bizarre. He's like, nope. If I talk about that, the Chancery is listening. I'll never get this church off the ground here. I couldn't believe it, honestly. So we didn't talk about that. Instead, I asked him about, the fraternity of St. Peter, which I had never heard of before, with the habit, the charism, all of those things. And he did a fantastic and wonderful job. He's an amazing priest. I love him to death. And that community is busting at the seams today. You know why? Because Cardinal Leonardo ensured
that despite the progressive crazies that worked for him that he refused to fire, which makes my eyes bleed, he ensured that it could exist. Man, and guess what? Cardinal DiNardo's retired today. He's got an assignment up in the Panhandle of Texas, a short-term assignment, filling in for until they get a new bishop up there. But guess what? He came back to town, specifically came back to Houston just to provide the confirmation for my daughter and for the others too. It wasn't just for my daughter, okay? There were others. But for my daughter, he came back to town to confirm her in the extraordinary form. So he did things that we didn't love. He did things that confused us. He did things that we were frustrated with. But I can tell you many examples of things that he did that were absolutely heroic and amazing and incredible. Like the time he spoke to the Acts group. If I had $1 for every time the Acts told me, Joe, you're not really Catholic until you've been to the Acts retreat. I would be as rich as producer James. Honestly, I would have producer James kind of cash. I could afford a 4x4. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's just because the ultra elite wealthy of this world, the 1%ers, they're eating the blue cheese ranch sauce. That's the thing. It's just super elite. Maybe the honey mustard thing is just for us knuckle draggers. And the Bezos, the World Economic Forum types like producer James, maybe they're just like on a whole nother level, and that's why they eat the blue cheese ranch stuff. I don't know. I can't explain it, but
can we seriously use the term blue cheese elite while referring to those people moving forward? Because that's kind of great. I kind of love that.
Hashtag blue cheese elite. That's hilarious. That is so funny. Yeah, so Cardinal, I don't know. Yeah, Cardinal, see how that rant, I went down that rabbit hole. Not needed, but not asked for. But here we are. It was Cardinal DiNardo who went to Rome. He took, what's his name from Boston? The Franciscan. What is his name? The former bishop from Boston. The Franciscan. His name is totally escaping me right now. The two of them went because the guy from Boston knew Francis personally.
You're talking about O'Malley?
O'Malley, thank you. He took O'Malley with him. They sit down, and Francis says, DiNardo, go back to the United States. Stop causing trouble. Do whatever Supich tells you to do. A Vatican insider who was in Rome at the Vatican at the time called me to tell me that after that happened. This was when I was waking up to, this was the summer of shame. This is when Marco Tassati is talking about the Vigano revelations, and the silence of Pope Francis over it all. This is when all of the news was breaking of the deep infection that had plagued seminaries for years, and everybody wanted to characterize this whole mess as a child predator thing. It's not. It's a post-pubescent thing. They were attacking males that were altar boys and seminarians. They were homosexual, power-hungry perverts coming after the weak and the innocent. And it went on and on and on, and everyone knew it. Bishop Lopes said it. He said it as much in that homily that he gave that got leaked. Remember that when Bishop Lopes at the Ordinariate said, we all knew it, we all knew it, we all knew it. We all knew it and did nothing about it. McCarrick gets to die quietly in his bed when his victims continue to have to go to therapy. Let that sink in. By the way, it was James Grine. It was his confession. It was his testimony that finally forced the hand of Cardinal Dolan to have to report the issue up the chain of command through the Vatican, that finally got his McCarrick any attention whatsoever at the Vatican in a negative way that led to his being defrocked. And of course, I talked about that on the radio side. That was part of the cover-up. Instead of trying him publicly in a Vatican court, they quietly dismissed him. Well, he's no longer our problem. He's a mister. And he would never stand trial. He was too old. He was too delusional. He was too whatever. He was too this. He was too that. And the day after he died, or the day he died, was it the day or the day after? I had James Crine on the show talk about all of that. Ugh. I tell you, it changed my whole life, my whole trajectory, my whole career, my whole outlook. Everything changed after that. Jacob says, who needs big haggis? We have the blue cheese elite. I'm not the blue cheese elite, Jacob. Don't blame me, buddy. Okay, listen, I just work here. I don't own the place. It's not like I'm in the will, unlike some. I'm like some producers named James.
Mm.
Okay, I'm not going to be inheriting the thing. You know what I'm saying? We're going to talk with David Rodriguez from the Fatima Center on Pope Leo the 13th. You're going to go talk to Father David Rodriguez. Fun fact, David Rodriguez has a brother who's a famous YouTuber. Did you know that? The brother served as, I think he was a pilot or he was an officer in the Marine Corps. And now he has a men's style YouTube channel. It's fascinating. Go watch videos of Father David Rodriguez giving homilies, and then go find his brother's YouTube channel. It'll blow your mind. It really will blow your mind. Texas Roxanne, our Sacred Heart, Conroe Parish Eucharistic procession is scheduled for June 13th. We had to get permission from all the businesses along the route, including the Freemasons. The Freemasons thought it was a great idea and said yes. Détente. Post-Vatican-II, Nostra Aetate. We're all just getting along these days. Gus, good afternoon to you. Do you think a public execution of McCarrick and his ilk would have been effective? No. Obviously, that ship has sailed. We're not going to get that one back. No more public executions. I can't see that happening. At least not for the good guys. Now, bad guys will publicly execute people all day long. Iran does it, for instance. But what would have been better? In my opinion, a public trial would have been better. A public trial at the Vatican. Pulling out all the stops. Put cameras in there. Let everyone see. Let him be publicly shamed. Let him publicly apologize. Let him spend the rest of his life in sackcloth and ashes, begging God for mercy, praying, fasting, doing penance, doing acts of reparation. That would have been the best for his soul, and that would have been the best for Holy Mother Church. But we didn't get that, did we? We never got that, unfortunately. Hallow 334, praise be to God. Anyone interested in watching? I have a video on my channel from an Argentinian talk show hosted by a gay. The guest is Argentine Sister Lucia Carum, who was friends with Pope Francis. Watching what exactly? I got to back up now. Hashtag Blue Cheese Elite has taken off, James. Look at you go.
Take the world by storm.
Take the world by storm.
I have to get to you before you get to town, so then everybody else can help me peer pressure you once you're here.
I'm bringing 18 ounces of honey mustard just because I feel like I need to leave some at the studio. I just need to call my good friend Damon to get, to let me sneak it through TSA.
Don't do it, Damon.
18 ounces. That's of honey mustard. That should be doable. That should be doable.
Seems a little bit excessive, to be honest.
Seems like the proper dosage per
Would
per
you like
buffalo
some
wing.
wings with your honey mustard, or?
Maybe a little bit. I am a sucker for a good sauce. I'm going to be honest with you. Okay.
I see that.
It's true. It's true. I do like a little bit of buffalo wings with my sauce. It's true. I love this. This is great. Delawana says, on behalf of the entire worldwide Italian tribe, for the love of all that is good, stop putting pizza on your putting pineapple on your pizzas. You psychos.
I can get behind that. Yep.
That's so funny. That is good stuff right there. I tell you what. Damon says size is not a problem in checked bags. Come on, Damon. Some things are too valuable to put in the belly of the aircraft. They need to be right there, like in your carry-on, just for safekeeping, like lithium-ion batteries, for instance. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if I can have a lithium-ion battery, why can't I have 18 ounces of honey mustard? I'm just saying, like, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Just mail the honey mustard to the address you will be staying at. Oh, sure, Hallow 334. Then I show up to the studio in Buffalo, and I'm like, hey, James, did the honey mustard show? Oh, what honey mustard? Ain't no honey mustard here, buddy. Ain't nothing ever delivered. Sorry. Return to sender.
We received a suspicious
Address
package.
Unknown. Yeah, I can just see it now. See how that's going. Are you kidding me? Obviously, I will have to, because Damon's going to be like, he's going to play by the rules. He's not going to let me through TSA. So I'll have to stop by Wegmans and load up before I hit the studio. It's all right. I
knew Damon would have my back.
Yeah. Catholic Martyrs R.I.P. Joe. If we could have more clergymen like Ottavani. Well, I don't know. I mean, when I used to have the chance to talk to Father Murr, I miss having Father Murr on. Love to have him back. I always struggled with this. If you know there are rats scurrying around the place, why do we not deal with them in a decisive way? And he's like, that's not the Vatican way. The Holy Office, the Vatican, they promote the bad guys. I just never quite could wrap my head around that, honestly. I would love to see a new, I said earlier when I talked about the good news about these priests that some of them had served in the military, maybe I take that back. Perhaps I should take that back. Maybe if we had more military service guys who had experience having their tales handed to them, their precious little delicate, sensitivities smashed behind the boot of senior drill instructor, maybe perhaps then they might deal with the McCarricks of the world, the Rupnicks of the world, in a way that would be more decisive. Because I feel like we've had a lot of milquetoast sensitivity training over the last 6 decades that kind of needs to go away. I don't know. I mean, military does have downsides. You've heard me complain about a million times, but that ability to find that internal gear and get up and get after it, that ability to get your butt handed to you, but you still continue on. You don't just let it, you don't just walk into your safe space and pull out your stuffed safe, toy animal and you hug it and you're just like, I'm a good person. I like me. But you just you suck it up, buttercup, and you keep after it. Perhaps maybe the hierarchy needs a wee bit more of that. I don't know. Maybe like the former bishop in Corpus Christi, Texas, who flew combat missions over Germany. Pray for him. He's in his last days. I'd be grateful for your prayers for him. But his chancery didn't love him because his chancery was from the era of milquetoast hippie generation. The Church of What's Happening Now. And he was like a man who fought combat missions and received flack and people tried to kill him when he flew over Germany. And he's like, get out of here. You're fired. He's like, I'm not putting up with you. It was just so foreign to him to sit there and tolerate this nonsense. He was pretty hardcore. He was a part of the Red Rose Rescue. I mean, he is super hardcore. Still kicking today. Nicholas Williams says, Joe, all the Pope has to do is threaten the hierarchy with poverty and taking their nice houses away. We've come a long way with French bishops voluntarily giving up their own homes at word from Pius X. Palace bishops. It's not a new problem in the church, by the way. Palace bishops go all the way back to the 3rd century, the 3rd and 4th century. Part of the problem in the divide between the East and the West, I firmly believe it all begins back with the Arian heresy. When Constantine, when he was becoming more and more Catholic for sure. Obviously he doesn't get baptized until his deathbed, but he starts to live his life in a way that is uniquely different than his predecessors. He starts to pass like anti-adultery laws, for instance, in the realm. He starts to become a sponsor and build things like the Basilica of St. Peter and St. John Lateran and other many projects. Sends his mother with an unlimited budget to go to Jerusalem and bring back the relics and build the Holy Sepulchre. Like, he was doing things that were pretty amazing, even though he himself held out to the very last. The problem was that he was listening to heretics as well, the Arians. And even though he wanted to force Holy Mother Church to deal with the crisis, that's the Council of Nicaea 325. We just celebrated that last year, the anniversary of that. At the end of the day, I don't think he cared so much about who won, as long as somebody did and we had peace. Stop screwing with my peace. That was the one thing that he cared about most. But because he entertained heretics like the Arian heretics, so did his children, so did his family. And so the palace bishop became a real problem. These bishops cozying up to wealthy elitists. And then Arian heresy spreads through the barbarian clans. So when these barbarians are coming and sacking the peninsula of Italy, these are Christians. These are so-called Christians. They're Arian heretics, but they aren't like pagans necessarily. So it's even more scandalous, actually, burning Catholic churches. Jacob says, well, I mean, once upon a time, before the council, minor and major seminary was like a military school. Father Pericone talk about that. That was a great conversation with him and Matt Fradd, wasn't it? Seminary dorms were under an open door policy. Have you seen the conversation between Father Pericone and Matt Fradd? It was a really good conversation. I would encourage everybody to go and watch that and listen to it. He did talk about how the door would have to stay open. If you were going to visit your buddy, you're going to keep that door open. But the problem is, during that cultural shift, when the hippie generation was taking over and subverting Holy Mother Church, the doors got closed and bad things happened behind closed doors because they were letting homosexuals in. Because why? Well, I mean, this book right here is the penultimate book on the subject, I would argue. The Devil and Bella Dodd, One Woman's Struggle Against Communism and Her Redemption, by Mary Nichols and Paul Kengor. Bella Dodd, who helped the communist regime strategically plant many communist homosexuals into American seminaries and seminaries around the world, by the way. I highly encourage everybody to read that book. It's really good. Did you like that interview, Jacob? I thought it was very good. Nicholas says, just got a hold of deliverance prayers by Father Ripperger and a few others. Need to restrict to more essential purchases until my budget stabilizes. Buddy, okay. Are you telling me you're not going to be buying these books that I'm recommending? Come on now. I've got busted out some oldies but goodies here. Surely you can find some of these on eBay for cheap cash. Get the Marco Tassati one. Remind yourself of what Vigano talked about in those early days in 2018. I interviewed Vigano, by the way, back then. I told you guys that, right? You guys know that, right? He was packing his things because Francis fired him when I interviewed him. And his secretary was like cryptically trying to say to me something really weird and cryptic. He's like, you do know that His Holiness has reassigned or removed him or relieved him or retired him. I forget exactly what he said. And I was just like Mr. Naive, right over my head and paying no attention to the details. I just wanted to interview Vigano because he was the nuncio and because he was pro-life and he spoke out courageously about Orthodox issues. He wasn't afraid to lambast the abortion cult in America. And I'm like, all right, let's talk. And I didn't realize all the shenanigan politics was going on in the back end. Francis was trying to punish him because he brought that lady in Kentucky to visit Pope Francis on his American visit, and Francis punished him for it. Christine OFS, praise be to God, says St. Nicholas slapped the bad bishops from heaven that are non-servum today. As you slapped Arius that believed in Arianism, there were so many bishops that believed in it. Please, God. We have a great devotion to St. Nicholas in our home. In fact, I don't have it here. I kind of wish I did, but we've had a devotion to St. Nicholas for many years now. We celebrate his feast day here, as do many people, of course, but I brought back an icon from Greece of St. Nicholas. We have good friends of ours who painted an icon for us of St. Nicholas as well. So we love St. Nicholas here, and we would love for him to do put the people's elbow into these bad bishops from the third rope. That'd be pretty amazing. Bacon and Bacon Bits visited our backyard last week, Joe. We could have used your expert shooting skills. Have bow and gun will travel. All you got to do is give me the address and I'm there. Happy to help. Put some back straps in the fridge. Trust me on that one. Nicholas says, Joe, not now. Need to scavenge yard sales, estate sales, antique stores, and Catholic shops for holy decor this summer. We have one of the greatest, well, it used to be. I haven't been there in a few years. But there is a store on Heights Boulevard in Houston, Texas, in the Heights on Heights Boulevard. The store is called August Antiques. This right here is a station of the Station of the Cross when Jesus receives his cross. This ginormous it's massive. It's absolutely massive. This thing is massive. It's super heavy, and it has been put on loan here by my good friend Polachicho. And that was purchased at August Antiques on the Heights and Boulevard. There's a whole section in the back of the store filled with Catholic things. They've had altars there, confessionals there, baptismal fonts there. They've got incredible statuary, all stuff that's come out of beautiful churches that have been renovated. And there's an entire section in the back of just Catholic books. Yes or yes. I bought books there. I got one right over there. Saints in Action. In fact, that book, Saints in Action, is a fantastic read. That book has the story of St. Athanasius Contramundi in it that I absolutely love. Couldn't recommend it enough. You could probably buy that book. It's no longer in print. It's been out of print many years, but you could probably buy that book, Saints in Action, on eBay. Let me grab it real quick. Oh. Yes, sir. Yes. This book right here, Saints in Action. William Thomas Walsh, one of my favorite OG Catholic historians. Absolutely love it. By William Thomas Walsh. Hanover House publication. This was published in 1961. Really, really great. The Archbishop of New York provided the imprimatur. 1961. The section on St. Athanasius is worth the price of admission all day, every day. St. Athanasius Contramundi. It also has the story of St. Peter, St. Ignatius of Antioch, St. Justin the Martyr, St. Cyprian, St. Patrick, St. Benedict, and St. Gregory. Saints in Action. One of my faves. This is going to, I have to put this in my will, or my kids will probably destroy each other in trying to, like this, my books, my Christendom books from Warren Carroll, my set of Christendom books from Warren Carroll, probably my Cornelius Lapide Bible commentary, my Haydock Bible. I mean, there's just a few gems that are going to have to be specifically stated in a will, the going to a trust or something like that. Like the library, the McClane library has to stay intact and well cared for. Otherwise, I don't care who takes my 42-year-old Tahoe. I don't care who gets my my gun necessarily, or my bows. I don't know. Perhaps my bows maybe a little bit more cared for. But there's just a few items that I have to really make sure of. Joe, what's the best iCatholic mobile plan for me? I'm not a big user, but my prospective tenant needs good Wi-Fi for work. Well, okay, so iCatholicMobile.com is a great sponsor of what we do. We absolutely love them here. I use it. My family uses it. But honestly, I think you're going to want to at least go 5 gigabytes of data. You'd be surprised how quickly you use this stuff. I know it adds up, but it's not that much more actually to at least go 5, especially if you're going to be using it for like house Wi-Fi, then you're going to want more, not less. So I would go above that as far as you possibly can. The Ultra Evangelist Wideband Unlimited. Like if you can get it, if you can afford it, go for it. Get what you can. But try to get as much bandwidth as you can, because when you run out of bandwidth, when you've leveraged all of your bandwidth for your plan for the month, they begin to throttle you at the end of the month. Throttles to 3 megabits per second at 22 gigs. Right here, this plan right here. You see how it says that? So you just want to pay attention to that. You can also call them and you can ask questions and you can get them to explain the plans better to you and perhaps maybe drill down to which one is best for you. But if you're going to be using a lot of data, then you need data. You definitely need the data. By the way, you can also purchase phones from them. They have new and used phones that you can buy from them too. So I was just looking at these yesterday. I need to buy my wife a new phone. She's got an old Samsung Note. It's probably 6 or 7 years old. It's really old. She needs a new one. So I'm gonna be looking at maybe getting a used Samsung, maybe S23, something like that. Perhaps, I don't know. I'll look on here. I probably will also look on Amazon, maybe eBay. I'll find some deals, but. When you support iCatholic Mobile, you're also supporting us at the Station of the Cross Catholic Media Network. So we couldn't be more grateful. There's other mobile phone companies out there that you see are sponsoring these podcasters all the time, but this is the only Catholic one. I'm pointing the wrong way. This is the only Catholic one. And I couldn't recommend him enough. The guy that runs it is amazing. Trad Catholic, great guy, wonderful service. It's really benefited my family a lot, so couldn't recommend him enough. Texas Roxanne producer, we should add the books that Joe McClane mentions on that show in the file section of this chat. That would be a full-time job, James.
I was going to say, can I keep
honestly,
up with that?
You would be, that's all you would do in your day. It was just like, come in. Maybe I should fly you to Texas and give you some barbecue while you're here. And then you could actually like take an inventory of all of our books.
Does that include the ones that I would have to track down that your kids have stolen?
Oh, well, yeah. You're going to have to go through their rooms, underneath their mattresses, in the closets. Every crevasse that they possibly can hide a book, you're going to have to go through it and steal that back from me. Better you than me, because then I would look like the bad guy. And I don't want to do that.
So it's fine for me to be that. Okay.
Yes. Yes or yes.
Of course.
I'm all right with you being the bad guy.
Okay.
Speaking of which, can you guys pray for my son right now? He should be flying in a Cessna right now above Houston, Texas, in his discovery flight. But it's rainy, 69 degrees, drizzling, and rainy right now. So he's flying in a Cessna in the rain. So pray for his safety. I'd be grateful to you. But I guess this is a good test. If you really, really, really wants to be a pilot, perhaps flying in the rain is the best way to know whether or not you actually want to. Because if it doesn't go well, then you're really, really going to know. You don't want to do this. Hallow says, buying or selling any blessed item is the sin of simony. Yes, you shouldn't be buying or selling blessed items, but you can rescue blessed items. I know a lot of people who will spend their money to rescue items that have been blessed and are being sold by nefarious people. And they're doing it for that intention. So I think intention matters. Ingles says, I pick up any and all religious items from garage sales, thrift, consignment shops, get them blessed and give them to the parishioners on a free items table. That's kind of cool. Zena, praise be to God. Good to see you in the chat. Good to see you here. Your son, his name, my son, the son that's flying, his name is John Paul. Tooth Twister. No more deals on eBay for some time now. I stopped looking before COVID. What? That's been like forever ago. John Paul Sandoval says Texas barbecue equals best barbecue on the planet. Beef ribs, beef brisket, jalapeno cheddar sausage, Texas Twinkies. It is the greatest barbecue. There's no question. 100%. We have the recipes. Welcome back. Glad you're here. You guys are too harsh. Who's being too harsh? Am I? Is it me, Lord? Is it me? I think simony is intent. Well, God knows the hearts of all. There's no escaping it. I've searched for things on there on eBay. And searching, this is one of the items that my friend found was a relic of the true cross. It's being sold on eBay. And he bought it not knowing whether or not it was legit. It looked legit, but he didn't know. And he bought it just in case. Because he would hate to see something so precious being sold as a wear. So he bought it, and then he took it to an expert on relics, and they verified it. They said it was actually an authentic, shard. It was two tiny little shards, tiny pieces of wood that were in a cross in the middle of this reliquary. By the grace of God, he after he had it confirmed that it was in fact a relic of the true cross, he lent it to me. We had it here at the house during the Easter week of COVID. So even though the hierarchy of the church canceled the highest feast day of the year, my family and I were able to venerate a relic of the true cross. It was pretty special as far as that goes. How do we rescue items, especially if it gets testy? How would it get testy? And perhaps maybe I could reach out to somebody and get somebody on the show to talk about that. That could be interesting. Rescuing relics, rescuing sacred and holy things. Perhaps I can find a guest on that subject. That would be nice. Maybe I'll do that. What time is dinner? We're already talking about food. We're only 36 minutes into the after show, and already food has come up. Actually, we talked about barbecue a minute ago, so I guess I already brought that up. But what time is dinner? Dinner is the instant I get off the show today. Today's an eating day, not a fasting day, so I can eat today. So now all of a sudden, when nobody's talking about stuffed crust pizza or I guess pineapple pizza, which I could technically have today, but I can't technically have it either because I'm not supposed to eat gluten or carbs or yummy things. Yes, it was Father Carlos Martin, Zena. I heard a relic in a dumpster found here years back. This past, when was it? All Saints Day. It's All Saints Day. There's a parish not far from us, St. Anthony of Padua in the Woodlands. They built a reliquary chapel behind their main church, and they house hundreds and hundreds of relics there. They have relics of all of the apostles. They have relics of the Blessed Virgin Mary. They have some incredible relics there. And on All Saints Day, they bring out all of the relics, and there's this line that wraps outside around the place, and you wait in line for a long time, and then you finally get to go and venerate every single relic. But you got to move along, and they keep you moving because it's a long line. But we got a wonderful opportunity to do that. I'm told that, I think it's in Pittsburgh, there's a church that has thousands of relics. Like at every square inch of the chapel, there's a reliquary, like on the roof and walls and everything, I'm told. I wouldn't mind seeing that. That'd be pretty amazing. Meatloaf with ground beef and bison. Bison is really good. That's true, the Doomslayer. That is true. Bison is fantastic meat. I love bison. I like elk too. Moose, yes or yes. Mater de la Rosa, how does the after show always devolve into talking about food? Exactly. This is James's fault.
I was going to say you can't blame me this time. I'm not talking about wings.
Hashtag blue cheese ranch elitist. Okay.
The blue cheese elite. Yep.
You brought that up, buddy, not me. I don't remember Did I bring that up? I don't.
Yeah,
remember.
you brought it up, but
I don't think so.
I said we should make it a thing.
It is, and now it's a thing. So buying a relic to take out of circulation is not simony if you don't display it afterwards. No, I think the argument is if you are trying to rescue these relics, you're trying to take them out of the marketplace. So in other words, you see them, that someone's selling them, and you're willing to spend money to ensure that they end up in a place where they will be respected and properly treated. And then you are taking them out of the marketplace so that they will no longer be treated so carelessly or incorrectly. And at that point, you should have no issue like displaying it, like donating them to a church, a chapel, perhaps in your own oratory or what have you. You should be able to do that. But it's the intent. And, at the end of the day, God knows your intent. God knows why you do a thing. So if you are buying and selling and you're sort of treating it casually, God knows that. There's no hiding from that. But if God knows also that you might just be sacrificing in order to save these items from people with no moral compass, then I think you're good. But I should find somebody who's a subject matter expert, perhaps. Texas Roxanne, you should go check out St. Anthony's Reliquary Chapel. It's quite lovely. Rebecca, Joe, hey, I started the after show talking about food. Well, there we go. Welcome to the team, Rebecca. That's what we do here in the after show. Joe, says Nicholas, if we see that at a yard sale, how do we navigate that? It seems to me that it could turn into a legal battle quick. How would it be a legal battle? I don't understand that part. I don't understand how, in other words, if you showed up to a yard sale and you saw a relic for sale, what would be a legal battle there? Like if those aren't Catholic, like let's say it's a estate sale or something. If they're Catholics and they're selling it, then you have an opportunity to have a conversation. Oh, hey, is this a relic? You're not allowed to sell holy things. It's against canon law. And perhaps if those people are Catholic, you're educating them, you're enlightening them in a way that they didn't know before. Oh, really? I didn't know that. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's against canon law to buy or sell blessed items, holy items. Maybe they don't know. Maybe if they're not Catholic, maybe they don't care and they're not Catholic. They're just selling things that they found they got at a yard sale or an estate sale. Sometimes they pick this up at an estate sale. The statue back here of Our Lady of Victory, I got that statue on the same day that I got my Father Haydock Bible down there. Can't see, but it's the one I'm doing the Book of the Apocalypse Bible study on. And yes, I am still doing it. I owe you chapter 11. It's coming. It's just life. You know how it goes. But I got this and that statue and a couple of other items from a yard sale in my neighborhood, and they weren't even Catholic. But it's pretty amazing. So this is, this could have been blessed. I have no idea. It's pretty amazing, beautiful Bible. You can't tell, you probably can't tell, but there's an engraving in the edges of the paper. I mean, it's just stunning. This Bible is literally stunning. And this Bible was a wedding gift to Michael and Hannah Murphy, who were married August the 16th, 1853 in Cork County, Ireland. They immigrated into the United States. And they ended up in Barnstable. Not Barnstable. What is the name of that town? Shucks to bitsies, I don't remember. Not Barnstable. What is the Portuguese town, South Massachusetts, close to Cape Cod? Come on, James. How come you don't know? Don't you have all Portuguese towns memorized by now from Massachusetts?
I didn't know that was on my list of qualifications.
It was on your resume. Expert in Portuguese towns in Massachusetts. I read it. I know I did. New Bedford. Thank you. Fall River.
I should know that. We have a station there.
New Bedford. So down in New Bedford, this is a Portuguese village. So they actually immigrated to New Bedford, but eventually they would make their way over to Illinois. And in Illinois, they had the Bible what do you call that? Like they put the new cover on in Illinois. There's that, because in the actual spine of this thing is the name of the company that did that. But like this thing is like gorgeous. It's amazing. Truly lovely. And I want to say they've got some notes written in here from the 1890s. I can barely read this cursive. My poor grandma probably could read that. God rest her soul. However, I can't even read my own handwriting, let alone somebody else's. I want to say in here there was their kids' names, birthdays, baptisms, that kind of thing. I had it in my mind. We started the research project, but I couldn't finish it. I wanted to research the family. And I wanted to see if we could discover their descendants. And maybe, who knows, maybe they've got descendants who are still alive today and still Catholic today. Wouldn't it be cool? Like my thought was, it'd be kind of awesome if that were true. Then I wanted to like film a documentary style video of doing that research and figuring it out. And if they were still Catholic, fly this Bible to them, take it to them, and give it back. Even though I would hate to see it go because it's such a gem. It's the Douay Rheims translation with the entire Father Haydock Bible commentary. It is absolutely fantastic. It is truly amazing. I love it. Rebound. Thank you. Rebound. That is what I meant to say. Fantastic commentary. Absolutely love it. The Father Haydock Bible. So I thought about it would be so cool if they were still alive to take it to them, right? Like to fly it back, meet up with them, deliver it to them, share the research that we did from a genealogy perspective of their like. But if I discovered that their family was Protestants now, I was definitely never going to give it back. This is a Catholic Bible. It deserves a Catholic family. And but we never, my son started the research. We never really finished it. We never could get very far into it. I had to suspend the subscription I had on Ancestry.com where we were doing that research. I didn't want to pay the bill every month anymore. So someday, I think it would be amazing to do an entire documentary film going on the journey of the history of this family and this Bible, how it ended up in America from County Cork, Ireland, and seeing it go home again. Wouldn't that be amazing? Like, I just think that this should be in the family still. I don't know. I'd love to do it. What did DMX say after he told you to stop, drop? Do I look like a guy who would know the DMX song? Nicholas Williams? I do know a guy who would. That would be producer James. He knows all DMX songs. How's it go?
No, can't tell you.
How's it go?
What was the concert you said you went to back in the day, by the way? Just as a refresher?
I don't remember.
Didn't you say you went to a certain rap concert or something?
That was me?
I don't know. Sounds familiar.
I don't know. I don't know. Can't help you. I don't remember. I can't. I would have to hesitate to articulate for fear that it might deviate from the true course of rectitude. T-Storm says, you do have to be careful if you buy relics on eBay because people have come to realize that Catholics will pay whatever in order to rescue the relics. And so people have started making faked ones. Yeah, I guess that's a real thing. I should find an expert on that. Let me know if you guys have any suggestions. It would be interesting conversation. Chicken cordon bleu. Oof. Sounds yummy. Bison is good for you, and it tastes like it is good for you. So you have to add it with beef in order for it to be palatable. In your humble opinion, what bison all by itself is amazing. You don't need to add any beef. It's fantastic. Jane was right. It is New Bedford. I didn't pay attention quick enough. You were on the spot on that one, Jane. Well done. Yes, they might be Protestant or secular. Yeah, that's kind of my fear. I guess that's part of the reason why we might have stopped, because I didn't want to know. I mean, I wanted to know, but I kind of don't, because I'm afraid of what I'll find. I'll be sort of heartbroken if it turns out they're not Catholic anymore. I would be heartbroken. Should we add St. Philomena back to the calendar? Why not? Why not? Do I ever go to the 40 Days for Life banquet? No, I've never actually been to the 40 Days. I've been to the Coalition for Life banquet and a bunch of others, but I've never been to the 40 Days for Life. Texas Right to Life, I've been to that one, but not to the 40 Days. I don't recall ever having gone to the 40 Days for Life banquet. That's for sure. But I used to go to all the banquets. Perhaps maybe not that one, but man, I was working 7 days a week in this town for a very long time. Stop, drop, shut them down, open up shop. How's it go?
Is that an open-ended question? Who are you asking?
We have the recipes with the DMX rhyme. That's so funny. Yeah, that's so funny. Hey, Joe, says Christine, what is Father Rodriguez's brother's channel? I tried to find it. Okay, hold on. Let's see if we can do a... Got to get the Haydock Bible out of the way. It's too big. Are you keeping track of all the books I'm recommending these days, James? Put a bunch of books on the table today. Hopefully you're keeping track of them all. Okay.
Oh, dear.
Men's Style. We're going to have to filter this for channels. This is the guy right here. Real Men, Real Style. This is him. Let's see. We'll go back to his channel trailer. Let's see if we can get some.
Of Real Men, Real Style. Welcome to my channel. Here at RMRS, I teach you to leverage the side.
You see what I'm saying? Yes or yes? All right, now let's go to Fatima Center. Let's see. Videos. Oh, he's not a priest.
This is also echoed in one of the church's creeds, the Athanasian Creed.
I want to say that's his brother. They look alike? Can't tell. No, I think his brother's the priest. Real men should never wear cologne. I'm just saying, like, children do that. Boys put on cologne. Real men don't put on cologne. Real men want to smell like a man. Should smell sweaty, honestly. Where is Father? What's his name? Ugh. Doesn't he do Fatima Center? Or am I thinking about the wrong guy? What's his name? It's Father. Is it Father Rodriguez? What is his name? We have the recipe. It says I stink, Joe. Real men wear barbecue sauce, says Douglas. Yes, sir. Yes. That's great. I want to say this is the brother. Like, this guy is the brother, David Rodriguez. He's the brother. But then there's Father. What's his name? Father. Who's the priest? What's his name? What is his name? His name is killing me because I'm missing it. What is his name? What is his name? Someone put it in the chat a while ago. Now I've lost it. Father, is it Father Henry Rodriguez? I don't remember.
A YouTuber you're talking about?
Oh, it's a priest. Father Rodriguez. This guy.
because of a distance, you're only able to get to, let's say, the traditional Latin Mass for the first Saturday, let's say, I don't know, let's say once every 3 months. I would say, well, try to do it once every 3 months.
I want to say they're all related to each other. Like they're all brothers. I guess I'm 89% confident in that. I'm not 100% at this point, but I'm like fairly confident in that.
There's Father Michael Rodriguez.
So him, and him. There you go. Do they look alike? Somebody's related to somebody. That's the only thing I know. That's
now that we've established that.
I don't know what that was worth, but nothing probably. Real Men, Real Style is the YouTube channel for the men's thing.
I will not be wearing blue cheese, by the way.
I'm kind of surprised, actually.
No.
T-Storm says, I have an Ancestry account with most of the bells and whistles. If you send me a picture of some of the names and dates, I might be able to do some finding. I might do that. That would be amazing. It's his brother, says Mary. Father David. Yeah. Damien says, I remember my parents had a perfume for kids from Spain that smelled really good, but I have never bought any cologne in my life. I used to buy cologne when I was young and stupid. I bought Nautica. Nautica was my thing back when I was young and dumb.
I thought Nautica was like one of the cheaper ones, though.
Dude, just because you're a blue cheese elitist, don't thumb your nose at me, buddy.
I'm not. I
okay?
will not be wearing any blue cheese. Thank you.
Just
very
because,
much.
like, before you go out on a night of the town, you just take Benjamin Franklin's and rub them on your.
Yeah, I was going to say, I smell like money, jowls. Joe. Get it right.
Like some bennies right there. Not me. The poor folk, we buy Nautica. That's what I used to buy, Nautica. I haven't bought cologne in decades, many decades. Joe, why don't you want to smell like, quote, insert snooty French word here, close quote. Because real men smells like hard work. God bless you, Rebecca. Thanks for being on the team. Nautica smell good. Still smells good, says John Paul Sandoval. Back in my day. Back in the day. Dr. Bob is here. Old Spice. Okay, I used to use Old Spice deodorant back in the day, but I've been trying to cut back on my aluminum, so I will use a different one now. Says, if your grandfather didn't wear it, you wouldn't exist. The Old Spice. Good grief. The Old Spice was good stuff. I had Old Spice as well. Catholic Warrior 71. Hugo Boss. Hugo. It's pretty good cologne, but I wear it very infrequently. Hugo Boss. What kind of cologne do you wear these days, James?
I can't answer that without getting made fun of. So
I would never. Would I ever make fun of you ever? No, never.
You and the chat, to be fair.
No, we have never. There's never. You can't cite one example where we have made fun of you. It's never happened. We have you. We have your back. We're here for you. We are your safe space.
All right. So the answer is, and I'm going to preface this by saying that I didn't buy it for myself. It was a gift. Okay? I hear you laughing already.
No. I was clearing my throat. I'm
self-conscious about the French thing now, too. It's Chanel, actually.
Chanel?
Which I don't wear very frequently, but it is, if I wear cologne, it is Chanel, yeah. There it is. Yep.
Oh, that's great. Like a boss wearing the Chanel. Good for you, buddy.
Would I ever pay for Chanel on my own? Absolutely not, but I was happy to receive it as a gift.
You were probably awarded it in the estate from when Chanel died.
Like
is Chanel in someone's name, or is that just made up?
I couldn't tell you. I'm not that well versed.
Texas must sell a lot of Pepto with all that beef and spices, says Honey West. Irish Catholics stay Catholic. Well, do they? I don't know that they're all that Catholic anymore. No stinking way they are Protestants now. Honey West, I think you're thinking very positively. I want you to be right, but I'm not confident you are. Okay, they're Irish. They've moved to Illinois. What else is there to say? At this point, I don't know. Maybe ignorance is bliss. Perhaps maybe just not knowing and just pretending as though somehow romantically it all sort of worked out. Maybe that's better. I don't even know. I don't know, T-Storm. I might send you some pictures or something so you can look it up. That'd be great. But I don't know. Wouldn't it be fun if they were Catholic and they were like rock solid, amazing Catholics and we gave them back their Bible from their great? That would be pretty cool. That would be a good experience. I would love that. But at any rate, thanks for the laughs today. Thanks for the fun. Thanks for the conversation. It means a lot to me that you guys are on the team and part of the show. So thank you for your participation. We'll see you right back here tomorrow for another round of a Catholic Take, which is share us with a friend. God love you. God bless you.